the facility to watch the Saints and the Falcons. Atlanta wins. It's Carolina's first South title since 2015. Atlanta loses. It's the Bucs for a fifth in a row. Back in studio alongside Jonathan Jones, the two-time champ Bryce McFadden, offering his thoughts as well. And it just felt so appropriate what we saw over these 60 minutes. It was like New Year, same South type feel. It was not clean football. The rain only amplified that, JJ. What do you make of the way that this game was played?
It was exactly the way that it was supposed to be, right? And the fact that this is playing out, the NFL wanted a winner take all, but the only way it could be is if Carolina won, right? Well, they didn't know that when they made the schedule and put this game on Saturday afternoon. Atlanta had not yet played host to the Los Angeles Rams, and so there was probably a thought within the league office that, yeah, that possibility could take place in Week 18, but it's not really. The Rams are going to take care of it. Matthew Stafford's in an MVP race, and then the Falcons won. And then this scenario became even more real. Now, I will tell you this. While we in the media caught wind of this scenario roughly a week ago, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers knew that this existed the first time that they played Carolina. And so the folks there knew about this situation. And it does kind of feel a little bit like a tie, right? Like, I know that the Bucs are happy to win. They get to extend their season at least for one more day. But you didn't win the division just yet. You still have to sit there and root for a rival against another rival. You need one specific outcome in order to finally extend this season, one that was filled with such hope and promise at the start of the year. So I don't know that the Buccaneers are happy necessarily, but they are not sad right now.
Again, they're sitting and waiting and watching the New Orleans-Atlanta matchup. And again, just run us through this because it's three teams at 8 and 9, and it comes down to a tiebreaker that will favor either Tampa Bay or Carolina.
That's right. So if you get the 3, 8, and 9 teams, when you finally get to the tiebreakers, it goes to what those teams have done against each other. And ultimately, Carolina has the best record of those three. Atlanta can't possibly get a better record than either Carolina or Tampa, so they have been eliminated. And so that's sort of that is what is facing the NFC South right now with 3, potentially 8 and 9 teams. If Atlanta loses and they don't get to 8 and 9, you don't have to worry about that tiebreaker. Tampa wins on its own against Carolina with its own tiebreaker. It is only when a 3-team tiebreaker is introduced that Carolina then gets it. So really, really interesting. But what is for sure is we are going to see an 8 and 9 team make the playoffs. Only the 5th time in NFL history a team with a losing record will make the playoffs. And whether it's the Bucs or the Panthers, because both of these teams have actually been one of those teams, this will be the first time ever that a franchise has made the playoffs for a second time with a losing record.
And they're going to play the top wild card team, which will be someone out of the West. Good luck. Here's to you, NFC South. Mac, let's get back to the football that we saw here over 60 minutes. Again, rain-soaked, didn't help anything. But what did you make of Carolina's effort in this one? Because their lone touchdown for most of this game came on a short field mistake by Baker Mayfield. Then you're in your 4-minute drill. That tempo takes you to the end zone again. It just didn't feel like offensively they were clicking tonight.
Yeah, I think they allowed the weather to be too much involved in their execution offensively. When I look at the game, man, just watching the game, it was ugly. But then when you look at the box score and you really go back and analyze everything that you just watched, it was really, really ugly. They were 1 of 8 on 3rd down, guys. They didn't get to convert their first 3rd down until I think early in the 4th quarter. How do you expect to win in a Game 7-like scenario when you're not converting first downs? That's the first issue that led to a loss. Secondly, they couldn't run the football. 14 carries for 19 yards. Not even 2 yards per average. Heck, Rico Dotto almost didn't even get his incentives. Remember, he came in today's game only needing 7 yards. He got 10. He got 10. So they struggled, and I don't want to hear, well, it was raining. Well, it was also raining for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. It wasn't like the rain only came down when Carolina offensively were on the football field. It rained throughout the majority of the first 3 quarters of that ball game. But Tampa found a way to run the football effectively. And remember, that has been an issue for Tampa offensively, not being able to run the football or staying patient enough to be successful in doing so. Well, they ran for 140 yards. So that was the 2 glaring things that I saw that put Tampa in positions to win this ball game. Carolina, they tried to strike a little too late. In that moment, enough is enough. Time is not on your side. So me personally, Joe, JJ, when I looked at this ball game, the sense of urgency or the lack thereof was a glaring sign to why Tampa was able to do what they did today, which was get a much needed win.
Yeah, they had a missed field goal, the Carolina Panthers did. I think that you can probably chalk that up to conditions. Of course, on the other side, there weren't missed field goals from Tampa Bay, so they did perform better. We saw that because of that weather, the Panthers probably weren't all that prepared for it. A couple of guys, the broadcast said, wound up changing cleats early in that game, hoping to get a little bit of a better grip with the ground. Clearly, that didn't pan out rushing-wise. I would be remiss if I did not mention what Carolina Panther fans are certainly thinking about with a couple of rough officiating calls. Now, game-changing, game-deciding calls, I wouldn't go that far. But big calls, right? Like the offensive pass interference on Tetaroa McMillan that brought back a third down conversion. That should not have been OPI. Right? I mean,
39 yards, JJ.
It was
39 yards.
It was a 32. Yeah, and so that's a really tough one, right? And then shortly thereafter, there was a defensive pass interference on what was very clearly incidental contact. Very clearly incidental contact.
Yeah.
Now that was on 1st and 10. Of course, they were already at midfield, but still, those were within a very short span in the second half. That as Carolina is trying to mount a comeback in what will be a low-scoring game as time is dwindling. Tough plays, but of course, anyone will tell you, then don't put yourself in that position. Be more effective on the ground early on. Get some early scores. Make the field goal. All of those things. But those plays, oh, man.
They were a part of the story.
They're a part of the story.
Hey, JJ, is it too soon? I know the body is still warm, but you forgot one missed issue from the officials as well. The backwards pass in which they blew the whistle that made Rico just stop.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, it was a backward pass, but if they don't blow the whistle, he regained possession and he had green grass in front of him to potentially get some positive yards instead of negative yards because of the play. So, yes, I understand Carolina, the fan base, having an issue with the officials. They should. There were some missed opportunities, but, JJ, you said it. Never put the football game into the officials' hands because things like this will happen, but those are missed calls, to your point. They didn't, I guess, put the game in all the way in Tampa's hands, but they were defining plays that led to Tampa finding a way to win this ball game.
I'll say, I think that they in some ways did. Those are sudden change moments. Those are chunk gainers. And if you look at the penalties and penalty yardage on the box score, you'll say quite similar, evenly officiated. But the when of those penalties certainly affected the way that the game played out and perhaps the outcome.
Yeah, the Tetaroa McMillan one, because it's just deflating. It's a third down conversion. Now you're backed up on third down. Bryce Young winds up throwing it out of bounds, and now you're punting. And then that's when the defensive pass interference happens as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trying to make this a two-score game. Now, speaking of a two-score game, there's about 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Carolina Panthers trailing by 9, and they are making some progress down the football field. They get into the high red, and they dial up, the Carolina Panthers do, a flea flicker. And Rico Daniel slips on that wet ground as he's trying to toss it back. B-Mac, you couldn't stand it. You didn't like it, even if he had kept his feet, right? Why were you calling the flea flicker?
Even if you're going gadget, that's not the gadget for a rainy day.
And so that led to, of course, a fumble for Carolina, a recovery by Tampa. And so we can talk about the officials, right? And we can talk about missing a field goal earlier in the game. But